Hi folks, welcome to a special morning weather update as the flood threat for central Louisiana this weekend, but particularly today through tonight, maybe early Sunday morning, with the residuals of depending on how much rain falls occurs. Right now we have our Alexandria Tower Cam view there from Texas Street. As we look across the city, we're in the midst of a shower. Here you can see the reduced visibility. You even see the drops falling. Now going down into St. Landry, farther away from the more active weather right now, things are looking pretty good as far as visibility. Still mostly cloudy. And of course, everywhere it's humid. Gina, a little bit of reduced visibility over in that area. Low overcast happening there. And then as we go up toward Natchitoches, a few drops are falling there with a mostly cloudy sky. You can see the cloud motion there indicating some low-level flow moving through the area aloft. Looking at the radar, we'll spend a little time here, get a little closer look. You can see that this band continues to kind of train over the same area. And so it's moving at a snail's pace, basically. And it will continue to do so throughout the day. Therefore, that is one of the main risks of the flood threat. Now, I'll get into a few ingredients that are causing this type of pattern to happen in just a bit, though. But I did want to give you a broad shot of the radar there. So, folks to the south at St. Landry, where we just had the tower cam view right through here, you can see that there's no rain in that area. But along this band, there is heavy rainfall. In fact, right now, looks like the heaviest rainfall is happening there across North Rapides Parish, north and northwest of the Alexandria Pineville Metro, this being the Ball, Tioga Metro areas, and then westward toward the airport and between airport and Boyce. Going up into Grant, thunderstorms, lightning strikes there, Highway 167 north of Dry Prong as we head toward the Williana area. So that's where the heaviest rain is in Grant. Then going a little bit larger scale, we see some pretty heavy rain there across extreme south Natchitoches, some brisk amounts there between Leesville and DeRidder. Of course, we do want to show you this flash flood warning there for portions of Natchitoches, Wynn, and Grant Parish. So in fact, most of Wynn Parish not in the flood warning, just this southwest part. The southern half of Natchitoches Parish is, and much of central, north, and northwest Grant is in the flood warning. But there will be additional flood warnings issued, I believe, throughout the remainder of the day. All right, so let's check things out. The flood risk has been increased to a high risk from the Weather Prediction Center across mainly southern parishes. The moderate risk stands up elsewhere and a slight risk toward the northwest. So in our thinking, we think that we believe that the ingredients will more or less come together better a little bit farther to the south than farther to the north. The placement of these outlooks is a pretty determined and exhaustive process sometimes when you've got a lot of factors coming together that each one has its own difficulties to forecast. But this is what we have right now. The basic truth is the higher risk of flooding across southern parishes, as you see here. Now let's check out the large scale pattern. A couple of ingredients. Here's the leftovers of that winter storm twisting across the Rockies into the plains. We have a couple of fronts, a warm front to the north and a cold front to the west of us. And we, of course, have tropical storm Raphael still spinning around in the Gulf of Mexico. It looks to me like the enhanced convection is being stripped away as this has been a weakening storm overnight because of upper level shear by the jet dynamics that are occurring across the area. But we're able to get a little moisture from that, and that's going to enhance things. So here's the ingredients. Here's the setup for you that we're facing. This is why we think we're going to get some excessive flooding rainfall here for today in places. Now, this isn't going to happen all across central Louisiana. All of CenLa is not going to have flooding. So it's not a biblical kind of flood, but in areas that are susceptible, small and moderate river systems like the Calcasieu is a good example of that. Urban areas with flash flooding and other areas that flat flood when we get a lot of rain quickly. That is the target area for these type of situations. So we start out with the front to the west of us. This is a cold front. It's a boundary. It focuses the development of the rain and storms along it. Now, that's just to the west of us. The warm front to the north of us marks the boundary between the juicy air, the high octane fuel to the south and lower energy fuel to the north of the warm front. So notice that we're ahead of the cold front, we're behind the warm front, and that's the place where heavy rainfall occurs because of the convergence and focus provided by the cold front and the high octane type fuel that we get south of the warm front. That would be some of that moisture from Raphael that is being stripped away from the core. Overall setup throughout the afternoon, the front makes a little progress to the west. Warm front penetrates a little bit further to the north. And then as we go into the evening hours, heavy rain, heavy storms continue. You can see it's kind of shifting off to the southern portions of the area there. But that is where we will maximize the flood threat. Here's the front, makes a little bit more progress into the area. But you can see the slow pace that this is happening. And of course, you can see it's logical to connect the two. As we have Raphael in the Gulf of Mexico, some upper level winds are stripping away moisture and pushing it into central Louisiana. So we have much more moisture available in a vertical column of the air than we typically do here in November. And so that's what I'm talking about, that this is high octane fuel. This leads to widespread coverage of rainfall. It helps develop storms. It makes the storms more efficient at putting water on the ground, which would translate into rainfall amounts. The jet dynamics I've been talking about, you can kind of see this is high level jet stream. This is about 30,000 feet above the surface. You can see we have a fast flow coming through this area. Remember, we got the front here, cold front, warm front up here, and we got the tropical moisture from Raphael coming in from this direction. So everything is meeting in this fast band of jet stream winds. That adds energy to the situation. It kind of energizes the pattern, if you will. And one of the subtle things that we look at in flash flooding and severe weather forecasting as a meteorologist, look how this wind is blowing more from the south-southwest. This is kind of from the west-southwest down here. So right in this area is what we call the throat of diffluence. This is divergent flow. And what that does is that further lifts the atmosphere. All right, it encourages lifting of the atmosphere, which helps, of course, the pattern. It's all part of the pattern that generates the rain and storms. So we've got about 5 important factors that we need for a high-end or a moderate-end rainfall situation to occur. All right, so let's go beyond this to kind of step you through. I'm going to go through every 3 hours to give you an idea of the snail's pace that this thing is moving through. All right, through noon, we'll see rain and thunderstorms still confined mainly to the central and the northern western portions of central Louisiana. And then as we step through going to 3 o'clock, we see it makes a little bit more progress to the southeast, all right? And things begin to pick up across the southeast part of central Louisiana and Evangeline and St. Landry and Avoyelles parishes. Once we step through to 6 p.m., we see the northwestern areas are getting a break, but it's all in the central and coming into the eastern and southeastern portions of the area. Once we go to 9 p.m., well, a few more folks in Vernon Parish are seeing it. Beauregard Parish getting an end to it at that time, particular time, or at least its main system is moving through. Avoyelles is getting hammered by that time. Much of Rapides, Allen Parish, really getting it. Catahoula, Concordia getting it there. By midnight, we can see that it's still in that area, but maybe a little bit weaker, but still adding significant rainfall. Now, I'm going to step through the church time Sunday morning. I don't think you have to worry about that as far as that's concerned, but depending on how much rain falls, there could be some leftover flooding in a few places. But as far as the actual fall or rainfall, not expecting a lot Sunday morning. You can see it just kind of hit and miss, disorganized and not heavy later on during Sunday afternoon. So here's your flood threat information. This again for Saturday night and very early Sunday morning. These are the ingredients that I outlined. This is why it's happening. Raphael moisture, a lot of high octane fuel because of that. The surface front, focus and convergence, energetic flow aloft that's adding, kind of energizes the whole pattern, and that divergent flow aloft that encourages vertical motion and helps build up the convective volume of the system. And another thing too is There, across much of central Louisiana, because of heavy rain Tuesday and into Wednesday morning, there is low soil tolerance in some areas. Some areas have had over 300% of rainfall in the past week. And so any rain that falls on that soil, the soil just doesn't have the tolerance for it and it runs off. It maximizes the runoff, which is how you create flash floods. All right, so with those ingredients out of the way, the threat level now has been raised from 3 out of 4 to 4 out of 4 across portions of central Louisiana. I outlined that in that graphic a bit ago. Now that means that the risk is 70% of a flood event and exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles of a point. Common amounts still look to be about maybe 1 to 4 inches of rain, but I did raise the peak amounts now. Had 6 to 8. I feel that we can go with a 6 to 10 inch totals now. Again, it's for the whole event. So hourly to sub-hourly rainfall totals of 2 to 4 inches. That's an extreme rainfall rate, very high because of the presence of that high octane type moisture. Again, that's that efficiency at putting rain on the ground. And it would take the larger and stronger storm clusters to do that. And we will have some of those, as you saw in the previous graphic there, where I stepped through with that high resolution model. That is exactly what happens in those type of situations. So all this will result in flooding of some of the small and moderate river systems here in CenLa. As I said, the Calcasieu will be a good example of that. Probably it will affect the Red River, but probably won't pull it into flood stage. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see on that one. But flash flooding of susceptible areas, especially in urban areas, Alexandria, Pineville will be the main thing. But in the smaller cities, could happen as well. And even some locations in the rural countryside can have that flash flooding, obviously, as you know. So that's what's on the table for this particular situation. So I'll be now, as far as a severe weather threat for tornadoes, hail, and damaging wind, we're not really in that type of situation. And I suppose, and sometimes a rogue severe thunderstorm with strong wind. This isn't a hail pattern. I can pretty well rule out hail. I don't really see tornadic stuff with this, but suppose we get a strong wind event, that would be pretty minimal risk of that. So I'm not really mentioning it, but I am cognizant of it. And so suffice it to say that I'll be handling things for a while today. Nick will be back later this evening, and he'll be with me as well. And we'll probably may do some streaming at that particular time. But I'll be with you, and anything that you really should know about, I'll come on and do another live stream. Otherwise, I'm able to put it on the meteorologist Facebook page for Nick, meteorologist Tom Kavicka, and of course I can stream it on the YouTube. And it'll be on the CenLaWeather.com website as well. All right, well, thanks for being with me. Hope I helped inform you. So take this seriously and kind of stay indoors and don't travel too much and be very cognizant of the weather situation today.